Good evening, everyone. Welcome to hopefully this time another Slim's SIL Weekly. I do apologise for last week's show. Unfortunately, I didn't go to plan. A lot of things happened. If it was my connection or if it was something to do with Podbean, but unfortunately, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But I'm hoping this week it goes a lot smoother than what it did last week. So we had a podcast on Wednesday that went quite smoothly. So I'm hoping this one will do as well. I hope everyone's had a really good week. They're looking forward to the weekend. Obviously, I know everyone's looking for things to start now happening. Obviously, waiting for those dates so we can start getting back into training and a bit of football and a bit of one-on-one training and stuff like that. So I don't know, people are itching to get back to football. It's something that has been missed, and I can't wait. I can't wait till it starts again, and I can start doing a bit more with the podcast. So I'm gonna go through some stuff. Obviously, I didn't get to go through last week. Obviously, the just gonna do the businesses. Obviously, that I've been putting out there for the last couple of weeks. I know we've kind of entered into a new month, but obviously with the podcast going the way that it did, what I wanted to do is obviously just give it a little bit of extra. So hopefully this will help the businesses. As I say, the first one, as it has always been, it's JW94, the anti-slip and grip socks. As I say, it's a fairly new company, but they're making waves by the look of it, with the people they've got coming on as ambassadors. I've mentioned Dean Gherkin before, and Natasha Thomas as well, who plays for Town Ladies. She's ambassador as well. So if you're interested in that, pop over to their Twitter page, JW94 the brand. If not, speak to Mr. Joel Windsor, and he'll be able to help you out as well. The second one is Psychic for Sports UK, sports innovations, sports apparel and accessories. They've done some stuff for the Suffolk Non-League show. So if you want to go and have a look at their videos and stuff like that, that will show you exactly on there what they can do. If you need any more information or anything like that, if you want to contact Stu at psychicsports.co.uk, go and have a chat with him, and he'll be able to sort you out. Next one is Education Through Sports. Education Through Sports is basically self-explanatory. Trying to obviously look at the younger generation and stuff like that. If you go onto their Facebook page, which I've just been having a look through myself, they've got some videos on there. Also got some stuff on there where you can do obviously training on your own. And they've also got different videos of showing you can do some stuff at home. And obviously the one-on-one training that people are going to looking to start getting back into will be on there as well. So pop over to see them. That's on Facebook, on their Facebook page. Got loads of information on there. And the last one, but not least, is Matchday Marketing. Obviously, I've spoken about Matchday Marketing quite a bit. Always speaking about them with the things that they do for clubs in and around the non-league scene. I know they've teamed up with Macron Norwich as well, doing a lot of stuff in there. I was just having a look through some of their pictures now and some of their kits that they that obviously Macron are doing, and the way they're being presented and the way that Matchday Marketing have presented it is very, very smart. So you've got Matchday Marketing as well. So if you want to give them a look, go over to their Twitter page, and And also you've got their website as well. It's matchdaymarketing.co.uk. So pop over and have a little look. I wanted also to bring up, I mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I do apologise because I think the way that I came across on it, I didn't think was right, and I didn't really have my information, so I do apologise for that. But there is a Just Given page for Simon Borley. He used to play for Bacton. If you want to make a donation for Simon's family, if you pop over there, they're raising £500 to support develop the youth section of Bacton United, and that's at the request of Simon's family. That is an amazing thing what they're doing there. Obviously you can tell that Simon was very passionate about the club and also very passionate about football. So if you want to go over to, as I say, their their Just Giving page, what I'll do is all of these I will put the links into the description for my YouTube channel. I will get that sorted and get that on there. So if that's something you're looking to do, just go over to my YouTube channel and click onto the links in the description. It's been quite interesting in the last couple of weeks. We've obviously we've had a change of manager at Town. They've got some good results the last few games. And then we find out that Boris has now decided to do things in stages, and football is going to slowly but surely come back. It'd be interesting to see if anyone's got any views on, obviously, football coming back and how it's going to come back. And I've read some stuff, and I think some leagues are looking to do just the cup competition instead of carrying on with the leagues. I know some of the SIL clubs have had emails out this week, obviously asking about returning to football and doing some friendlies and stuff like that. Having Michael Bacon from the Greening coming on tonight. Obviously, I'm just waiting for him to hopefully come into the chat. But it's been brilliant what people have been doing over the period of football that has not been there. I mentioned the Suffolk non-league show. James and Adam, what they've been doing over there, and keeping football kind of in our lives and having something to look forward to each Monday. They've been doing really well. The guests that they've had come on there has been amazing. And it's good because you can get an insight of even just something outside of football. It might be someone that plays football, but you can kind of get an insight of what life is like outside of football as well. They had Dean Cooper on there, and I know this week, if you actually go onto Dean's Twitter page, there's a lovely picture of him in the Suffolk non-league show apparel. But also he was asking about doing life coaching. And I think that'd be brilliant. Listening to him on that interview that he done with James and Adam, it showed that I think he could do a lot of stuff for other people, help them out, and trying to point them in the right direction of, getting help if they needed to. So that's been really good with something coming out of the show there. Obviously with the show that I do on a Wednesday, trying to bring a bit of humor into into what's going on at the moment, and trying to use, obviously football as a platform, something that obviously me and Darren are really passionate about, and Gary as well. Bringing Gary in there as well has been really good, and I think that's something that I think we're going to do kind of full time now, and have Gary in there as well. So that's something really to look forward to as well, and may have to do a little bit of a tinkering with the name now. Obviously Gary's involved, but yeah, it's been good to try and keep football going in this lockdown, and it has been difficult. It has been hard. But we kind of muddle through. And the reason why it's so, but I asked Michael to come on tonight, is to have a little discussion about what the Green have been doing, and the stuff that the Green has been putting out on their Facebook page. So if you wanted to have a look, as I say, personally yourself, if you pop over to obviously Facebook, and then pop over to Greenland's Facebook page, you will see a lot of stuff that they put in. We can get Michael in soon. There we go. How you doing, Michael?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, good. Sorry about that. Been a bit of a busy week.
Well, as I say, that was one thing that I was going to ask you. Obviously, it must have been really busy for you, and obviously with the announcement of Town, obviously first of all Lambert going, and then Cook taking over. So it must be been very busy for you. How do you feel about it? Is that a good appointment, or?
Yeah, you can hear me okay, obviously now. But it's been it's been a bit of a week, so I'm sorry I'm a bit on the drag. I was
That's fine.
Doing some late stuff. Obviously, well, this is obviously a non-league podcast, so we don't talk Ipswich Town too much, do you? But I'm happy to chuck in my. Obviously, I know what's been going on all week. So it's been a big week.
We're trying to see, the thing is, because obviously with not been any football, we've been kind of broad in the horizon. So I just try and obviously speak about what interests people, and I know obviously that's something that would be quite interesting to people and yourself at the moment, obviously regarding everything that's been going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Paul Cook's coming. People probably know. People obviously know what's happened. Paul Cook's coming. The press, we met him yesterday. He's quite a character. He's a Scouser, and he's quite a character. I think he's going to be very good value. I think he's going to be. I wrote in my column this week in the East Anglian. I think he's going to be a football person for the fans, which I think the fans will love.
Yeah.
I think we've been a bit devoid of managers sort of, I won't say loving us, but certainly, I don't know. I just think he's going to be a real football fans man. He gets it, I think Ipswich fans have got a manager there who is also being, of course, very successful with promotions, very successful at Portsmouth and Wigan. And if he's got a great chance. I think the team are obviously playing quite well at the moment, on a good little run. Yeah. He's come in at a time when that run is continuing. Yeah, tough match tomorrow at Gillingham, but there's lots of points still left to play for Ipswich Town. And so I think Paul Cook is an astute appointment. He's turned down other Championship clubs since he left Wigan. But his press conference yesterday was very impressive. I don't know if people saw it or heard it or read it. It was very impressive, and he comes over. He's going to be very much a fans manager, I think, which is what this club needs.
Yeah, I've me personally, I've not. I've only been in Ipswich for about 15 years, so I've not grown up in Ipswich. I've grew up in London, it was quite weird when I first came here, and obviously I'd heard of Ipswich Town and stuff like that, but how much the club is very, how can I put it? It's very, even though it's a big club, it's very still close to its fans, its the community as well. even though it has that big name of, Ipswich Town and obviously what it's achieved over the years, it's still a very, what I call a community club. Do you agree with that?
It's a one town club, isn't it? And any Ipswich is not a massive town itself, but the club is Ipswich Town is massive as a football club, not just in this country but around Europe. I mean, you can go abroad and you can go around Europe and say, people ask where you come from, you say Ipswich, and if they have heard of it, it's only because of the football team. If anyone says, "Oh, I've heard of Ipswich," they've had a good football team. Had a good football team. Still have half chance of having a good football team, but so it is very much a community club. Ipswich is not a huge town. It's not like London where there's lots of, obviously, a whole host of clubs. Manchester's got 2 clubs. The Midlands, there's lots of clubs in the middle. I mean, Ipswich is very much a community club. The fans play a huge part, and of course they've got a great history. And a lot of fans at Ipswich Town are still 50-plussers who remember that history. We've got lots of great young fans coming through as well, which is fantastic, who probably look quite jealous at the older generation who remember the Bobby Robson days, and they probably get sick to death of being told about as well, to a degree. But in saying that, George Burley got them up in 2000. That's only 20 years ago. That's not a lifetime ago. And so there has been recent. Ipswich were in the Premier League in 2002. I mean, that's 19 years ago, not 90. So, the club has still been successful in the more recent past. But obviously in the very recent past, it hasn't been, and it hasn't really been good enough. And hopefully Paul Cook will change that. But community-wise, it's a huge community club.
Because that kind of draws me into, obviously, the local football that we have. If you look around, you kind of go down to your like the Rhineham League level. So we're kind of stepping down a little bit. There's a few clubs around the area that obviously are quite high up in that stage. Obviously, you've got Felixstowe and Walton. You've got obviously Leiston. I'm trying to think of some other clubs. Bear with me. Obviously Sudbury, which I know is a little bit more out, a little bit more. Those type of clubs. Is it? Because I spoke a couple of weeks ago about obviously like trying to get some of those feeder clubs to like kind of help town out a little bit. Is it been a bit of a shame that obviously those clubs haven't been able to push, like even help push you through and stuff like that? Even though obviously we've got the academy and everything, but it seems to the younger players are not pushing through as much. Are they?
Ipswich Town or in general?
Yeah, well, kind of in general, really. It seems like, I don't know, they kind of get to furlough none level and then kind of stay there a little bit and don't really go any further.
Well, I think, academies at professional level, there's they swamp players up from all over the world. Ipswich Town's academy is not full of Suffolk boys by any stretch of the imagination. Far from it. But it's the youth at Ipswich Town has been relatively successful over the last few years. They've got a lot of young players in the Ipswich Town squad now that have come through the academy. As regards locally, there's also a dropout from academies from the Ipswich Academy who have dropped down into non-league in Suffolk. There are a lot of ex Ipswich Town and ex other academy players from professional clubs now playing non-league, particularly at steps 3 and 4, some at 5. So I mean, youth. Look, there's lots of programs on at the moment about academies. I don't know if you've seen them. There's some on Sky Sports have done some great stuff on football academies, and BBC are just doing some. It's a pretty tough business. A lot of players go through the procedures, and not many come out the other end as full-time professional footballers. So it's difficult.
It's tough. It's hard.
It's very hard, and it's hard. Up to it is very hard. But a lot of players start to drop more and more into non-league, which is good for non-league. Really good for non-league. Non-league. That's why non-league, I think, standards are improving all the time, because not only have you got good non-league players who are not going to academies in the first place, but you've also got academy players who are not making it, but they're still very good players. And going to non-league. It's a difficult one with young players. There's just no right or wrong. It's if a coach fancies you, if he thinks you, one coach thinks you're good, one coach doesn't. You know, it's just a flip of a coin with a lot of players. Some sort of pretty well pick themselves, but it's a tough one for young players. And I think non-league benefits is going to continue to benefit because academies do swoop up a lot of players because they don't want to miss that one player, you know, who could be the next whoever, you know. So they'll take a gamble on a lot of players.
Do you agree with there's been a couple of obviously semi-pro clubs, obviously still classed as semi-pro clubs, that have been opening up academies. I know Needham Market are doing very well at the moment with their academy that they've got there. I know a couple of seasons ago, Ipswich Wanderers tried to start an academy. Do you feel that at that level, it probably shouldn't be done at academy level? They're more, as you say, the more professional clubs like your Towns and stuff like that. Do you think the youth would benefit more with obviously they would benefit more with the higher caliber because it's obviously a higher league, but do you feel that it probably should kind of stay at that professional level with the academies?
No, I mean, I don't see any reason why, I don't see any reason why not. AFC Sudbury run a particularly strong academy, have done for many years. And a lot of it is finance and cost. They're bringing players through, they're educating them as well. And these guys and girls having a couple of years, education as well as playing football.
Yeah.
It's not a professional academy, but it's a good academy. Needham are doing the same. I think Leyton, they're setting up something similar.
Yeah.
A lot of this is basically because clubs are realising that the finance of a non-league club, you're going to have to start producing your own, basically. But that's not just non-league. I mean, professional clubs are seeing that. Ipswich Town are probably seeing that. Lots of professional clubs are seeing that. You can't just buy your way out of. You can't just go around to spending fortunes on players, and that includes. And we're talking the same at non-league. At non-league level, that's exactly it. You can either just spend, getting players who come in perhaps for a season, then leave and go somewhere else, and come in. The clubs have realised they've got to start generating their own young players, and academies are a good thing. I mean, why not? I mean, Sudbury, like I said, Sudbury particularly strong and produce some good players. Bury have always had a connection with West Suffolk College, and so. And I say Leyton are starting something up. Needham have got theirs going. I know Wanderers did start something, as well. I mean, if you get it right, it can be quite useful, quite successful. And it just all young players just can't be professional footballers. I mean, that's the bottom line. They just can't.
As much as we all say that we're going to be when we're younger.
I never did, but I know what you mean. But no, it's young players want to be professional footballers. Of course they do. And those in the professional academies want to be a professional footballer. Of course they do. But there's a lot of very, very good young players out there who have never been near an academy, professional academy.
Yeah.
So they're the ones to spot, and they're the ones to pick out, and they're the ones to nurture and cherish at non-league level. Because
there was one thing that I did turn around and say when I was speaking about the youth and stuff like that, it'd be interesting to see if scouts would start going around to even SIL senior clubs, furlough non-senior clubs, just to have a scout round at some of the young players that are out there, because there's probably a lot of what you would say untapped youth that are playing at SIL level, and because they're enjoying it, if they're decent enough and they're enjoying it and they're doing well, that maybe are not picked up. Do you know what I mean?
Of course I do. I do know what you mean. There's loads of players who are not picked up. But I think some scouts do go around, and if they get a call from, it's up to clubs. Clubs can be a bit proactive as well. Clubs, if they think they've got a really top young player, they can contact the football club and say, do you fancy coming and have a look at him for a couple of games? That's up to the football club then. If they want to go, no, we're not interested, well, that's their choice, but there's lots of professional football clubs you could phone up. This hasn't just got to be the local one, but you've got to know what you're talking about. You can't just phone up clubs on a player you think is half useful, Invariably word gets round. Players just through you've got the press and the media, they'll be these young players will be scoring goals or doing good things, and their names will be in the paper. So a good scouting system at a pro club ought to know what's going on in the local non-league area. Because there are untapped gems out there. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes professional clubs get rather in their own bubble of their academies and don't look any further. But I think that's starting to change a little bit now. I think they are starting to look a bit further because they're realising that, there is a lot of players out there who some of them even want to go into academies, even if they're asked at a young age. They don't all want to go. And non-league, of course, is getting stronger and more professional, and and just a better standard. So there are a lot of good players out there.
I've noticed the massive change in non-league football just from when I was playing, and I stopped playing probably about 6-7 years ago now. But then obviously went into managing and stuff like that. But I've noticed the change of, as I say, the professionalism of clubs. I'll use Ipswich Wanderers as an example. At one point I was able to play first team football, and I probably wasn't that great of a goalkeeper, but I was playing a little bit of first team football at Wanderers. And now you look at them now with the players and the calibre of players that they're getting in now. So it's been a massive change at that club. And obviously Stowmarket is probably one of the kind of the, I'm not going to say fairy tales, but one of the biggest obvious movers in non-league over the last couple of seasons. And as I say, I was there personally myself when Rick came in and took over. So I've kind of watched how far that's come. That must have been an exciting thing as a journalist to look at Stowmarket being a local club and how far they have come. How's that been from your point of view, looking at that?
Well, I mean, I'm a sports journalist. I've been a journalist, for sort of 30 years. So, and I've been in the sports department for 30 years. So, non-league's always been a big passion of mine, as well as other sports. Obviously Ipswich Town are centre stage on everything, and other things as well. Now, but going back to non-league needs to produce stories, to get the headlines. And what Stowmarket have done recently, with an influx of money, I mean, there's no go getting around that. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that for me. If you're going to be, you can't just, Manchester City haven't got where they have because they just decided to have extra raffle tickets at the bar or something.
Chelsea done it as well.
Sorry?
Chelsea done it as well. Chelsea had that influx.
Clubs are where they are because they've been given financial boosts, and good for them. And that's whether it's right or whether you like it or not, that is what is required. I mean, Ipswich Wanderers got a particularly proactive chairman, which is good to see. In Stephen Boyle, he's very proactive. And he's getting players there who they probably wouldn't have thought of getting them 4 or 5 years ago. But that was then, and this is now. Stowmarket the same, moving onwards and upwards, getting players who they want to attract. Yeah, they might have to pay for them. Well, you got to pay for them, haven't you? If you want a nice car, you got to pay for it. You can't. If you want a big house, you got to pay for it. Everything's the same. You want top players, you got to pay for them. There's no shame in that. And sometimes I get a bit cross when I hear people talk about money in football and it's too much. At the end of the day, it is what it is, and you can't, hope. It's just striking. It's just getting that person who wants to get involved with your club. So the standards are improving. The players take things more professionally. That's not a bad thing. What's wrong with trying to improve everything? I think you can go down to the SIL. The SIL, the SIL is trying to improve itself all the time. I've watched SIL senior games and stuff. Watched a few last season. It's not a league I cover a lot, but I know how popular it is. I know how important it is to the local players, and there is more professionalism, just tads more professionalism. There is, and that's great to see. And all non-league football just got to keep upping its game all the time. Look for those little things to make it a little bit more professional. Treat the players a little bit better. The players have a bit more time for the fans. Just pit better pitches. Just make the pitch as good as you can, and just so when people come along who see a lot of people with non-league, they just still think it's like pub football, and I know no one listening to this podcast thinks that or no, but I'm afraid there are a lot of people out there who just see it as well. It's just like kick about people who can't really play, isn't it? Well, no, it isn't. And even going down, I say the SL, there's some very good players in the SL and step sevens and stuff. Lots of good players. So if you make it a good day out. When people do decide to perhaps have a quick look once in a while, and that's how you grab them, and that's how you get them, and that's how they go, do you know what? Because professional football has become very expensive, and I'm not just talking Ipswich Town, I'm talking all professional football. If you want to go off to London and watch Arsenal or Tottenham or whatever, you talk a lot of money. So this is where non-league can strike really, and it ought to.
I totally agree 100%. It's, I went over and It was one of the first games I went and watched, actually, with I basically just on my own went over and watched, because I've been the same managing for the last few seasons, so it was quite weird to go and watch an actual game. But I went and watched the Ipswich Wanderers Bourne Vale game, and it was the quality of football that you get in non-league now. As I say, it's not pub football, and to be honest, even pub football is not what pub football used to be. You know, you look at the Sunday League sides out there now, the likes of Kitchener's for one, you've got SC Dons and all these other YouTube ones, which tend to be Sunday teams, and the quality that you have in there is a lot different. I think football now has come a long way quite quickly, but it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Even at reserve level, you know, I personally was managing a reserve side that I had so much talent in there. A lot of them are now playing first team football, you know, and it is exciting. It is trying to get that out there. And this is obviously where yourself and the Greenham come in. And this is I've always loved the Greenham. I've always loved it when it was a paper. I said at the beginning of this, I used to read it with my mates and stuff like that and go, yeah, I play for them. And I was in the paper, but I weren't in the paper as such, but my team was. But it's the same as what you do now. And I'm really hoping that it's going to be that same thing, that on a Sunday or a Monday, people are going to go onto the Facebook page and go, oh, yeah, I was at that game. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I was editor of the Greenham in paper form between 98 and 97 and 2003. Yeah. So, it was great times. It was the times when Ipswich were going up through the leagues, through the playoffs and into the Premier League. Marcus Stewart was our columnist. When they were in the Premier League, Kieran Dyer was a columnist with us, Mark Venus, Alex Matthew. And they were great days. And the non-league scene, of course, was the absolute foundation of the paper. You know, if without non-league, we had no paper. Ipswich Town were doing great. Yeah. Particularly when I was there, so it's just struck lucky with that. But the non-league scene was massive. You know, I tried to really work on the non-league scene. I didn't know who. I used to play in the SIL many years ago for Fonero and BT Telecom, as they were then. But then I actually started working on Saturdays at quite a young age, so it sort of messed me up a little bit. Yeah. But anyway, when I was editor of the Green, Neil Manning was my deputy, and Neil was, of course, a very big football man. Covered Ipswich Town for a decade through the 70s and into the early 80s, so all the best times. And but he was really into non-league as well. So me and him used to go around a non-league ground every Tuesday night, because we both had to work Saturday, so we couldn't get to a game Saturday. Well, he could, but I couldn't, so I was in the office. Every Tuesday night we used to go out to see different games, and that's how I met so many people at that point, which a lot of them, ironically, would you believe, are still involved in non-league today. It was incredible all those years ago, and still that's 20 years on, and that's the beauty of non-league. So yeah, we had some great times out, myself and Neil. I remember we went to Clacton once for a Clacton. I'll never forget. We went to Clacton Harwich, I think it was, for an Essex Senior Cup match. Just have a little look around, because we covered a lot of Essex clubs then as well. And we spent a bit. It was 1-0. It was 0-0. Sorry, when we went into the half time, and we went hospitality, and we stayed in there rather too long. So having an extra sandwich or six, and by the time and we didn't hear a roar, but apparently someone had scored, or we didn't know somebody scored, so we came out thinking that the score was still 0-0. Yeah, and but actually it was 1-0, and we stood and watched the whole game. Somebody then scored, which was the equaliser on the day, but we thought it was the winner. So off we left the car park and went home, only to find next day that we'd missed extra time and penalties. And so, you know, we enjoyed nights out. We used to go to Cambridge City. We went as far away as Cambridge City, went up towards Wroxham, as well as all the Suffolk clubs. And non-league is a huge part of the Green, and now it's on Facebook. Now, what we want, you know, the print side of it just collapsed. I'm afraid people, if I had £1 for every person who loved the Green, and that'd still be running now, but I'm afraid they couldn't have loved it that much, because people weren't buying it in the end. I know they loved it really, but you know what I mean. It wasn't being sold. So we've gone online, Facebook. I want to see clubs putting hopefully their notes up, their match reports up, and make it a bigger family as you can on a Saturday night. I don't want to put them up Sunday afternoon. Put them up Saturday night, and tell us what your game was like. Lots of clubs got their own websites, which is great. That's fantastic to see. So they put their match reports up there, which is fantastic. But you know, always remember you're preaching at the converted when you're doing it on your own website. You need to get it out there. Get it out there, everybody. Let people who don't know how you got on, read how you got on. And so rather than one person having to trail around about 25 different websites to find match reports, they could just be nice if they could go to the green and hopefully find plenty there.
It's do you know what, as I say, I go on and I have a look on there pretty much every day. The reason I just love the nostalgic stuff that you put on there.
Well, there's a reason we're doing a lot of that at the moment, Alex, because there's no football. So
I know, but a lot of people wouldn't have thought about doing something like that. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people would have just, we'll post every now and again just to keep it going. But it's something that's you put up quite regularly, and it must take a lot of work to find out that information to be able to put it up. And it's great that you're doing it. And as I say, when I'm speaking to people, I always try and get them to go out and have a look at it. I love the Waterside picture today. It's
purple kit. Yeah, where that come from?
I played for them for like half a season. I think when David Driver was managing them, which was quite recently. I think they folded a couple of seasons after that, unfortunately. But
when I was editor of the paper, I actually did it. I did. This was something I actually tried to do. Well, I did. I didn't try to do. I did do it. I made a column called Teams of Yesteryear, and I used to go and find a couple of old teams from our files, and then lo and behold, people were sending in photographs right, left, and centre. I used to then ask people to send in your old photographs, and we'll print them. And so that's what we did in print 20 odd years ago, before the internet was really established. And so going back to the green and Facebook now, you've got to remember at Archant, East Anglia Day Times, Ipswich Star, Green, and we have massive files of photographs, absolutely hundreds of thousands of them. So you say it's difficult to think to do. It's actually not as difficult as you think, because I do have access to hundreds of thousands of photographs. So it's just me finding one. I do like to keep it going because I think people find it interesting. And people have added their own photographs as well, which is that's what I really want to do. I don't want to keep adding them all myself all the time, but I'm just trying to encourage it. People, stick your own photographs on there and scan them in and stick them on and tell us about them. People must have old team photographs and some of them, they're just scanned off the paper. You can take a photograph off an old news clipping. But I enjoy doing it because people enjoy it. But I also want to get that mix of going back to the current. I'm really looking forward to the season eventually starting up again, and we can have some current football on there. I like looking back, but I've never been a person. I'm quite a forward-thinking person, and as much as I love the nostalgia, and I know people love looking at it, I really want also to get that mix of, I want some current stuff up there. I want to be talking about current games and what's going on, but that's for a few months away.
So going with that, it's a subject that everyone kind of doesn't know, but I think. Do you think that obviously there's been a lot of leagues that have turned around and said, right, that's it, that's done and dusted. Obviously, unless I've missed something, I don't think I have, but I know that the SIL had emails going around this week to clubs asking if they wanted to do friendlies and possibly competitions. Do you think? You personally, do you think that is the right thing to do to obviously get football back and going, or do you think they should just kind of leave it and then start pre-season and go into another season?
I think it depends what level you're at with your game. I mean, some of the step 3 and 4 clubs might want to have a little run about, have some friendlies and stuff. But they also might want to so I know some are speaking to the Mark Morsley at Sudbury. I think he practically wants to just forget it and go back and not start up till pre-season. I spoke to Bury Town, and they're saying they could do with getting their pitch sorted and to suddenly start playing lots of friendlies on it in July or in May. Might not be a great idea, and they need to get the pitches ready. When you start looking at the SIL, I think if teams can get up in the SIL, if they can get pitches and that they want to play a few friendlies, I think that'd be nice. I don't think that'd be a bad thing. People are a bit sort of fed up. They want to do something, don't they? I think the trouble with it's a difficult one because a grassroots pitch at step 7, is a different pitch to a step 3 club or step 4 club where they've got a lot of facilities and they could be spending time on those facilities, and getting things ready for a new season.
Yeah.
And what benefit will it for them to just play a couple of friendlies? Well, okay, it won't be a bad thing, but just to play 2 or 3 friendlies, then close down and then start up again. I don't know. I'll just be glad to see some football back, to be honest. So I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a right or wrong here. I'm not going to say, oh, they
No,
should
it's
play or they should play. I can see it from
it's
both sides. I can totally understand why clubs want to play friendlies, because they just want to play friendlies, and get some, just get people back playing and seeing some football, which we all do. So I wouldn't be against that in the slightest, but I just think there will be some clubs that say, look, let's just forget it and let's get our pitches all sorted and let's get our ground sorted and let's come back to training, at the end of June or whatever, and July, and see.
I honestly think, a lot of I actually do think a lot of the SIL clubs will probably just turn around and go, no, just leave it. The reason why I say that is because I know a lot of the clubs obviously have pitches that are council owned. So obviously the council will turn around and go, well, actually, no, you're not playing on it. The goals come down, which it is a bit of a shame, because I know it causes problems. Then again, when you try and set up friendlies, because sometimes some teams leave it so late to do friendlies because they're trying to get a pitch. And also some of the pitches obviously have the cricket pitches on there. I don't know but you may know a little bit more about it than myself. I don't know if they're what they're doing about the cricket season this season. I don't know if they're going to be starting it on time or if it's going to be pushed back later, or if they're going to be doing it at all.
I think
obviously that's a factor as well.
They'll definitely be doing it. It's a case of the timing is the timing. I don't think they'll be starting next. I don't know. I'm not a great cricket fan, but I can't imagine they're going to be starting dead on time. But cricket is certainly looking to come back. Yeah, just like all summer sports, really. They want to get as much of the summer as they can. So there will be issues with pitches, with cricket pitches as well. I just think people just want to play some football, and I really get that. Yeah. So I'm a non-league fan. I'd love to be able to just stroll off Saturday afternoon and go and find a game somewhere, just a friendly. There's a lot more put on a football game than just everyone just turning up, And I think people have to understand that. And volunteers, we've got to see what the volunteers, how they feel as well, because they're the people that keep the sport running. Especially all levels of non-league. There's no from step 2 down to step 1 down to step 10. Don't think yourselves that the National League clubs don't have plenty of volunteers who help out, because they do. As well as teams down in steps 8, 9, whatever. But have you got people around to help run things as well? There's a whole host of things to think about.
The other thing is as well, it's the other side of it, which it is a shame, is partly to do financially, also partly to do with what's going on. I think there may be some people that have just can't be bothered anymore, and a lot of people have been kind of like that. There may be a few teams that might not be able to continue, unfortunately, either that may be due to finances, or the other thing I've found as well is obviously being a manager myself, I'd still speak to a lot of players, and a lot of players have decided to probably go to another club while this has been going on, which has been a bit of a shame. And I hope it doesn't happen. I really don't, because obviously I want everyone to keep carrying on. But obviously then there might be the possibility of that, which would then cause a problem as well with fixtures and stuff like that. So I think the friendlies would be the better option to go with, and possibly cups, maybe finishing the cups if they can.
Well, I think they said they're going to try and finish the cups. I believe. I don't know. I would like to see the cups finished. I mean, a bit like the FA Vase, the FA Trophy are being finished at national level. I'd like to see the Suffolk Senior Cup and Premier Cup finished. I think that'd be good. As regards players, I think it will be interesting how players react. I think some players, especially older players, may think, you know what, I've hardly played the last couple of years. I've had it. I've done well. I've had enough. There'll be a lot of players though who'll be really looking forward to playing. As regards finances, well, I mean, if players are on FA contracts, then they probably have been furloughed by their clubs. So that's not. I think finances are. Clubs have lost a lot of money, especially again higher up all levels really, but especially on bar takings, coffee and drink admission. But players on contracts at higher levels, at the Leystons and Needhams and Lowestoffs and probably the Wanderers as well. I don't know, but if they have, I'm sure they've been furloughed, which has given the clubs a little bit of respite from that. In fact, again, going back to Sudbury, I know speaking to Mark Moores, he said his club would have folded if they hadn't had furlough, because you've got players on contracts who just had to keep paying. with no money coming in. Further down in the SIL, well, is there any money going around? I don't know. I don't know all that, but the bottom line is, I suppose, that the costs are still there, though. You know, to run a football club.
Yeah.
I hope no clubs go under. You can't say no. There won't be any, because it's just been such an unusual time. But it's going to be difficult for a lot of clubs, and for a lot of players to suddenly pick themselves up and go. But I think the majority are looking forward to playing football again, to be honest. So hopefully it'll all be good.
Yeah, as I say, I'm looking forward to it. I want to get back to it. I want to, as I say, for the last few years I've been managing, so it'd be nice to get to games and watch games, just watch a game and not have to worry about getting players there and stuff like that. I picked it at the wrong time, really, because it was like, I think I went to 2 games and then they were like, actually, we're not doing it anymore. I was like, oh, lovely. So it's been great.
Well, Saturday afternoon's been a nightmare, isn't it? I mean, what earth I don't know how on earth we've managed it. I'm starting to think on earth we've got so far. I mean, it's just doing absolutely nothing. It's just been a nightmare. Well, I've covered a couple of Ipswich Town games. With no fans in, which is even worse, because you're watching a football match with absolutely no atmosphere whatsoever. Yeah. It's just bizarre. So I wouldn't. It's my job. So I mean, it was okay, but I mean, I'm not going to sit there and make it. That was wonderful. You need fans there, all levels, and you just stand around an SIL pitch, stand around Clayton, or stand around at Achilles, or stand around at Crane Sports, or whatever, just watching and talking and chatting to people, having a beer. That's what people have missed. So Saturday afternoons, I think for most people, I'm sure I'm again not alone in thinking, what the hell have we been? How on earth have we got through all this up to now? Because it's just seems to have gone on forever. So that's why people want friendlies. You see, that's why people want. But I think people have to respect, the club's thoughts, especially the officials who have to arrange these things. Hopefully, because it's not as easy.
It must have been. Do you know what? I take my hat off to, I know a lot of people moan and go, "Oh, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on here." But I'm not being funny. There's only one person that can decide if we're going to play football or not. And I think people kind of lost sight of that a little